If you've ever struggled to stay consistent with fat loss, especially when you're working doubles and 13-hour shifts, this might just flip the script for you. I call it the lazy fat loss accelerator because once you've got it working, it feels like cheating. No calorie counting, no fancy prep, just a few tweaks to the times that you eat. And it works because it forces your body to rely on its own energy stores instead of the constant drip feed snacks and leftovers. And it's stupidly easy to stick to it when you flat out. I used this exact process when I felt completely stuck, and now my chef clients absolutely swear by it. In this video, I'm going to break it all down, how it works, why it works, and how to set it up for you. So what is it then? It's a super simple fasting structure based on 3 rules. Eat later, eat less often, and eat more protein. The goal isn't to starve yourself. It's to create a system that naturally reduces calories without you having to white knuckle through immense hunger and calorie count every single gram of rice. I'm going to break the whole process down step by step in a second, but first let me tell you about the first time I actually committed to this. It didn't come from a place of discipline, it came from a place of desperation. So a couple of years back, I was buried in 13-hour days. No time to train, no time to cook. I was living off pastry triangles, energy drinks, and leftover risotto. If anything was cooked in error in the kitchen, it was mine. And I thought I was doing all right. I was eating clean during the week, going hard when I could train, but the scale hadn't moved in months. I remember one morning when I weighed myself after a particularly savage week, and I was 3 kilos up. It wasn't muscle, it wasn't water weight, it was just bloat, stress, and late night eating. So instead of doubling down on cleaner eating or tracking more macros, I said, fuck it, I'll try something different. So I skipped breakfast that morning, not purely out of strategy, I also didn't really have time for it, but I just grabbed a coffee instead and told myself I'd eat whenever I got the chance to, which actually happened to be at 2 p.m. after lunch service. Surprisingly though, I felt fine. I didn't crash, I didn't have any cravings, no brain fog. It was just a weirdly steady energy throughout the whole morning. So over the next few days, I doubled down on that and I kept going. I'd skip breakfast, have a high protein lunch as my first meal, protein shake at around 4 o'clock, and then a big dinner with plenty of protein. That was it. No late night snacking, no grazing mid-service. And 2 weeks later, I was down 2.5 kilos with the least amount of effort I'd ever put into it. I wasn't even trying to diet here. I'd stumbled onto something that genuinely made overeating harder, and everything, my sleep, my workouts, my energy, got better without adding more to my already packed days. So here's the process that I've refined from there. Step 1 is to delay your first meal. This is where the magic starts. So instead of just waking up and having a slice of toast or grabbing some cereal first thing like you would normally do, you push your first meal back as late as you reasonably can, usually around 12 or 2 p.m, even later if you can do, but I find that's about the sweet spot. The reason we do that is because the earlier you start eating, the larger your eating window is going to be, which means more opportunities to fall off track, to snack, to graze, to slip up basically. One of my clients, who was a pastry chef at the time, was always on early starts. So he'd get up at 7, he'd usually have something to eat straight away just to keep him going. But by 10 o'clock, he was starving again. And then by lunch, he'd already eaten half his calories just from snacking on little bits and tasting his preps here and there. He'd opened the floodgates by eating early, and it was like playing hunger whack-a-mole all day long. So we decided to try something new and implement this fasting approach. Now, he'd have a black coffee or a 0-cal energy drink to start off the day and suppress his appetite, and he'd eat after 12 o'clock. It was an absolute game changer. His cravings disappeared, and he didn't even think about food until lunchtime. And by then, he'd already bounced 6 or 7 hours with eating less than 100 calories. Step 2 is to make your first meal high in protein. Once you break your fast, the goal is simple. Get full and stay full. None of this light toast or banana nonsense. That just opens the floodgates. But we don't want a sluggish, meat sweats, carb coma type of full either. You want to be satisfied and well fueled. So it's best to aim for around 500 calories with about 40 or 50 grams of protein if possible, even more if you can. Think chicken wrap, Greek yogurt and fruit, or a high protein smoothie. Super simple. Because every time I used to eat first thing in the morning before going to work, I would be ravenous 2 hours later. And when that hunger hits hard, your brain will say yes to anything. Doesn't matter if it's chips at 10 in the morning. If you're hungry, you'll eat it. And that means you're playing the rest of the day on hard mode. The reason we go for protein is because it's the most filling type of food to eat. If you've ever been to a Brazilian steakhouse where it's essentially bottomless meat, you'll know that you need to be rolled out there by the end of the night because you're so full. Anyway, when I switched to having a proper meal, packed with protein, but still low in calories, I could go 3, 4, 5 hours without even feeling hungry at all. You're not just feeding your body for the sake of eating. You're setting the tone for the day. Low calorie, but high satisfaction. If you nail this, the rest of the day is smooth sailing. Step 3 is an afternoon protein shake. This is your bridge. So instead of a big second meal or grazing on chips mid-service, you go for a double scoop protein shake in the afternoon. It's an easy 40-50 grams of protein, low effort, no cleanup, keeps you out of the biscuit tin. And you can drink it while you're working. You don't even have to stop and have a sit-down break that you probably won't get anyway. But this keeps you in control during that dangerous mid-afternoon slump, where snacking usually starts to get the better of you. For me, it would get to 4 o'clock and the hunger would just hit hard. I'd start scrounging whatever food I could find in the kitchen, other chef's prep, my own prep, snacks that were left over in the fridge, anything at all. But when I came prepared, protein shake in the fridge, ready to go, it kept me full and satisfied, so I didn't feel the need to snack. You remove the decision making and suddenly staying consistent becomes automatic. Step 4 is your last meal of the day. It acts as your anchor and you've earned it. By this point, you've had a small meal and a protein shake, maybe a snack and a couple of coffees. So you've got plenty of room for a decent sized meal now. So this can be your biggest meal of the day. It's still aiming for about 40-50 grams of protein and enough volume to actually fill you up. Think steak and potatoes or salmon, rice and veg or chicken pasta, something like that. And plenty of veg to bulk it out and keep you full. Because we've all been there in the kitchen when you barely eat all day, you clock out and the hunger hits you like a slap in the face. You've got nothing in the fridge or you simply can't be arsed, so you crumble and head to the takeaway. So you want to make this meal something nice, something that you look forward to, something that when those hunger pangs come during the day, if they do, you can think, nah, I'm good, I've got this nice meal that I'm looking forward to this evening, I can power through till then. And that just makes the rest of the day a whole lot easier. And you end the day full and satisfied instead of guilty and stuffed. Step 5, close the eating window. Once dinner's done, that's it. Your eating window is shut, and that's going to be anywhere from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m, depending what time you finish. But you need to draw the line. And that does 2 powerful things. It gives your body time to rest, digest, and recover, and it sets a clear boundary. So there's no more late night grazing, cupboard raids, or just, one more snack. Whenever I used to finish late, I would absolutely smash these huge bowls of cereal, not even because I was hungry, but just out of habit or out of boredom. But when I started setting that hard boundary for my eating window, I had that rule of no eating after 9 or 10 or whenever it was, that pattern stopped. And I started sleeping a lot better as well. So when you know the window's closed, it's easier to just stop. There's less willpower needed and it's just the plan working for you. So I should mention, there is some nuance to this. It works great on days where you're not training, but when you need to fit a workout in, it gets a little bit more complicated because you want to prioritize food around that time that you train to fuel your training and aid recovery. So I'll cover that in another video, but this system, it's a cheat code. Imagine your whole week running like this, structured, simple, and tailored to your lifestyle. That's what I'll go through in this video here, which is the full fat loss blueprint for chefs. Or if you've seen that and you want more structure, support, and guidance, you can book a call with me using the link below. We can have a chat about our goals and the roadmap for getting there.